Today's Cowboys video is taking a look at some off-season losers. Yes, losers, because there are losers in life. Before we dive in, I have a very important question for you guys. Let me know in the comments section, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high, how likely you are to recommend the Cowboys report to a friend. Simple question. Just type your votes in right now for me. So let's take a look then at 5-ish losers for the Dallas Cowboys this offseason. I am cheating right off the top with Brandon Knight / Terrence Steele. It's going to be one of them, I think, ends up being the loser. I picked both of the backup offensive tackles because of what the Cowboys did this offseason. It's not about their play, but about the roster moves. The Cowboys signed Ty Nsekhe. They draft Josh Ball as well. And now all of a sudden, with Tyron Smith and La'el Collins on this team, that's 6 offensive tackles. Now, maybe Brandon Knight makes a move to guard. That's a possibility. Even if that's the case, there is a very real, if not outright likely outcome. One of these guys does not make the roster. And they've started games for the Cowboys. That brings them some value. Now, Terrence Steele last year was a better football player as the year went on, especially in terms of mistakes and penalties. So for Terrence Steele, having experienced the starting tackle means there's some value. Frankly, folks, down the stretch last year, Terrence Steele outplayed Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight, I think part because he was banged up as well, missed some time with injury, he wasn't good. Neither of these players are guys that you want starting games for you, but I've seen the backup tackles across the NFL. It ain't better elsewhere. So because the Cowboys signed somebody and drafted somebody, I bet one of Knight or Steele ends up being gone from the Cowboys by the time it gets a roster cut down time. That's what I think is going to end up happening. So pick one to dump for me. Which tackle are you trying to move on from? Type in BK for Brandon Knight or type in TS for Terrence Steele. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Next up, Kelvin Joseph, and this is due to his, lack of play at Minicamp / OTAs, at least for part of it. Joseph missed part of it due to COVID-19. There were some, at least whispers out there, that maybe he wasn't in the best of shape or whatever. He didn't draw great reviews from media either when he was out there. I am not panicking yet on Kelvin Joseph. It's still way too early to freak out and melt down. But training camp is going to be important for him. He has to play catch-up now. Deshaun Wright outplayed him. That's not what the Cowboys wanted nor expected, or at least not the way they wanted it to have it go down. And Joseph, guys, as a reminder, is raw. He has not played very much college football. 9 games last before he got told, hey, just go home. Like, that's where we're at. So I'm not freaking out about Kelvin Joseph, but you missed some time at OTAs, you missed time at minicamp, you're behind some other guys. That's not an ideal offseason. I'm not out on Kelvin Joseph, but you know what? Sometimes you have to be a little bit critical or else nobody ever gets any better. So with that in mind, it's your turn to be mean. Who is the biggest Cowboys off-season loser? This question is the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. Next up is Leighton Vander Esch. This again, not because of him, but because of the other moves made. For starters, the Cowboys declined his 5th-year option. That's always a bit of a disappointment there for a first-round pick. And oh, by the way, they drafted 2 guys and signed somebody. That's a lot of competition and a very clear sign from the Dallas Cowboys that, hey, we're not sold on you long-term. Drafting Micah Parsons, Keanu Neal, Jabril Cox. The Cowboys clearly are unconvinced that LVE is going to return to 2018 form. I hope that happens. I hope we get 2018 Leighton Vander Esch. But the guy we've seen in the past 2 years, substantially worse. Everything was not as good for the Dallas Cowboys and for LVE. Not all his fault, but that's the reality of life in the NFL. So with the roster additions, with the declining of the 5th-year option, I think it's very clear this might be LVE's last year as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. So what do you guys think? Is it going to be the case? 0 for, yep, this is it, no more years after this, or 1 for, nah, they'll bring him back in some capacity. Get your votes in. 0 for yes, 1 for no. This one pains me. It's also not his fault. Bradlee Anae. You guys know I'm a member of the Free Anae campaign, but things are not looking in a great direction for Bradlee Anae right now. And that is because the Cowboys, maybe not unexpectedly, but added options at defensive end. Anae only played 6 snaps last year on defense. He did not get a chance to impress anybody, really, at least in games, within the organization. Now a new regime comes in, and they add several more players. And there is a numbers game going on right now at defensive end. DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, they're making the team. Cutting Terrell Basham saves Dallas $0 and 0 cents. He's going to make this team. Chauncey goes with a 3rd-round pick. He's making the roster. All of a sudden, you're down to Dorrance Armstrong, Bradlee Anae, and even Rondell Carter played some kind of sort of last year. He was a high-investment practice squad player. So Anae, because of the other moves, I think is fighting for 1 spot on this Cowboys team. So when I say free Anae, I mean free Anae and put him on the Cowboys field. My fear, unless there's injuries, which I don't want in general, freeing Anae might have to come via a trade or a release. Either way, I say put free Anae right now in the comments section. We are planning all kinds of incredible Dallas Cowboys training camp coverage. If that is something you want, if you want videos coming out every single day about training camp since it's back in Oxnard this year, hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/CowboysTV. We're not going anywhere once camp gets going. Last up here, oh look, a trend, defense, go figure, right? Trysten Hill. Now, much like Kelvin Joseph, missed, well, even more so than Kelvin Joseph, missed OTAs and minicamp due to injury, coming off a torn ACL, and now there's competition at his ideal role in that more 3-tech pass rushing defensive tackle role. For Trysten Hill, this is a very pivotal training camp. I don't think he's guaranteed a roster spot. He's on his 3rd defensive coordinator in as many seasons, and D-line coach too. That's kind of a big deal. So will Trysten Hill make the roster? Get your votes and your predictions in right now. It's a very simple Y for yes, or you can type in N for no. Now here's the depth chart, right? And there's obvious roles for a lot of these guys. Quinn Bohannon, if he makes it, nose guard. Brent Urban is a run stopper defensive tackle. The more typical 3-technique guys are Neville Gallimore, Trysten Hill, and 3rd-round pick Osa Odighizuwa. Now, the Cowboys have invested more or less the same in Gallimore and Odighizuwa. They did invest more in Trysten Hill, but that was a different defensive coordinator and D-line coach. We're on number 3 now for Trysten Hill. If he doesn't come back from his ACL tear quickly, the Cowboys have other options. The investment, sunk cost fallacy is kind of going away now. Now, Hill was better last year. He was a better football player in 2020. I'm not out on Trysten Hill. I don't want to be out. I still want to believe, but he's got to show more. The flashes were there in 2020, especially as a pass rusher. The consistency was not, the run defense was not, but if Hill does not come back quickly from his ACL tear, or if he struggles and gets beat out by Odighizuwa especially, the Cowboys might say, you know what, let's go cheaper, let's move on from Trysten Hill and just call it what it was and go Taco Charlton on him. I don't want that, but with the roster moves and the coaching changes, that option has to be considered.